Around the late 1980s, I was appearing in a Dougie Chapman music hall tour, and we played a week at the Richmond Georgian Theatre. I'd previously spent a pantomime season at the Bury St Edmunds Georgian Theatre, but I'd really not been impressed with that building. However, Richmond was a very different proposition. For me, when entering this reclaimed Georgian theatre, it felt as though genial ghosts straightway took me by the hand and led me around. Having spent a year at the London Palladium and worked virtually all the major theatres in the British Isles, as well as masses of the minor ones, plus Theatre Carré and nearly all the Netherlands theatres, the Hamburg English-speaking theatre, there were many venues of which I was fond, but the Richmond Georgian Theatre was exceptional. This instantly felt like home. Who knows whether this was déjà vu from a previous life, and I may have been one of the benighted players who spent their year walking from one venue to another in their circuit of 5 or 6, pushing costumes and scenery on a handcart, treated as rogues, vagabonds and thieves, and so having to both perform and live in buildings which for much of the year would be damp and freezing when they arrived, and situated firmly outside the limits or walls of towns and cities, well away from the abodes of decent citizens. At the time, I was using my 35mm still camera when I worked it, so I think that it must have been before I got my first video camera, although that was soon after they came onto the market. Anyway, years later, when touring in Hot Shoe Shuffle and playing Darlington, I took the opportunity to pop over to Richmond and shoot this video. I'm afraid that most of our recordings were never viewed but stored for years, and we didn't realise how vulnerable the videotape could be, so that when opened up many were found to have developed that awful white cotton wool growth, which badly affected the quality. When recently managing to get around to digitising them, I had to, in some cases, perform quite drastic editing in order to get rid of garbled footage. This one was no exception, so it's very jumpy, and along with those early tape cassette cameras not having anything like the quality of modern digital versions, not a brilliant piece of work. However, I thought I'd put it together with the stills I shot when actually playing the theatre, as a memory of a venue very close to my heart. Interesting points are the open fireplace at the back wall of the stage, which can be seen behind my xylophone in one shot, used to originally help air out the building after being closed for months, and the fact that the 2 dressing rooms below stage originally doubled as digs for the actors, so they both have fireplaces, both for heating and cooking. And backstage also features probably the smallest toilet in any theatre, as amusingly demonstrated in one picture by Dougie, always up for a cheap laugh, Chapman, MBE. Richmond, the Georgian Theatre, again. What it is. Just outside the town walls. That's the town wall. The local lords. Here's just some sort of an iron store or something, metal store, and there were the cart tracks. This is it. Pit. The fireplace to warm up the stage. Get to it. That's magic, this little place. That was the original box office. That's the original box office. Here's the booking office and foyer. Oops. Booking office and foyer. An entrance door, the passages. With the gentleman's loo. We've got lots and lots of pictures up now. All the stars that have worked here. Bar. Got up into the gallery. Blimey. Cool, I've done it up since I was here last. Go is the balcony. Remember it so well. This is a bloody Georgian theatre. Very deep stage for such a narrow one. Pity they've got ladders in front, but other than that. Trod those boards anyway. Phil Fletcher, one man show. Peter Barkworth. Rosemary Squires. Certainly has a famous roster. Mine's up anyway. These things. Weather, 1997. Penny Green. Probably about 80. Just like 89 there, so. Nick Cowan, Georgian, Richard Baker, Honor Blackman, George Chisholm, Freddie Jones. Through the door into dressing room areas, mind your heads. Here we go. Magic. The one I was in, fireplace. Because they lived in these rooms. Under stage, traps, originally, shored up. But these rooms, the company and the family lived in. And then straight up, onto the stage. Trap, fireplace, for heating theatre, of course. It really is magic. Such a little Sheridan, Dryden, Rowe, I'll read the rest. And you got the organ, the piano's still there. And the pit. And the pit door. Charming administrator here, just had a little chat to him. Telling about how they used to come here and he wintered at Whitby, in fact.
200-seater. Plenty of lights. Alright. I remember this so well. These fireplaces. Look at that. Into the understage area. Up the corridor where I felt the ghosts still walk. This corridor. 200 seats. These flagstones. The original flagstones. Up to the box office. In Benny. You know? Look at Kennedy. Senator Sussman. 1991. Right, because Patrick Moore, Chris Barber. Oh, there were some old ones, of course. Larry Dance, Wilfred Pickles. David Gray. Virginia McKenna. Roster of stars, absolutely. Palais, Prunella Scales, Thomas Round, Henry West, Melissa Robles, Richard Baker. Blimey. Who hasn't been here? Bruce Lochte, Gareth Jones, Freddie Jones, right? Into the foyer again. Listen, Boo. They do better than we did. I don't know if Chapman got out here. Georgian Theatre Donations. Royal visits to the Georgian Theatre. That's keen, isn't it? Yeah. It's all packed in, isn't it? So 36 down here, seats 36 here. Then you've got all the boxes on the balcony. Keane, Edmund Keane, Ben Kingsley is Keane. The museum's been redone, sadly, so 1788, 1963, double film lunch, Edith Adams, things of the reconstruction, and they reconstructed it, and they started working on it again. All the floors built over. This, unfortunately, all the stuff is stored. Theory at York, while they refurbish. That's Nancy's murder. 87.
Richmond typifies the theatres built in small towns by touring circuit companies in the late 18th and early 19th centuries, but is unique in its state of preservation. Samuel Butler, 1750 to 1812, actor and manager of the Yorkshire circuit, built the theatre in response to the Act of 1788, which restored to local magistrates the power denied them since 1737 to license local performances. He also renewed other houses on his circuit at Harrogate, 1788, Kendal, 1789, Ripon, 1792, Northallerton, 1800, and Beverley, 1805. His company would have carried a limited stock of scenery around their circuit, but new wings were created for the opening of the Richmond Theatre on 2nd of September 1788 by local artists George Coate and Mr. Coatsworth. As Sybil Rosenfeld suggests, these artists may have also been responsible for the decoration of the theatre, traces of which still survive. In 1962, the original colour scheme of Georgian greens was restored, and the boxes lined with traditional red canvas, each one bearing the name of a celebrated dramatist. The theatre is almost rectangular in shape, with walls of stone, an average of 61 feet long by 28 feet wide. It divides almost equally into auditorium and stage, the auditorium consisting of a gallery with kicking boards, upon which the audience would stamp if displeased with the play, a single tier of boxes, 3 in the middle with 4 on either side, and a sunken pit that could be floored over for masked balls, etc., when the players were not in town. There was a common entrance for all the audience. In Butler's day they paid 3 shillings, 2 shillings and 1 shilling for bench seats in box, pit and gallery, except when a star actor appeared, such as Edmund Kean in 1819, and prices rose by up to 50%. The stage was equipped with footlights, which were winched up and down through a slot. Performers entered through proscenium doors flanking the 5-foot deep forestage, which were fitted out to suggest the front doors of houses with balconies above, though as the focus of the action gradually shifted back to the scenic part of the stage, actors increasingly made more entrances there. In the front half of the stage were 2 square traps and a grave trap. The rear half of the understage was occupied by the theatre's 2 dressing rooms. The illustration shows one of these, still used by performers today, with stairs giving access to the back of the stage. The 2 fires in the dressing rooms, together with one at the rear of the stage, were the only source of heating in the building, and there is a record of the theatre being almost empty due to the cold. The auditorium would have been lit by candles which illuminated both stage and the auditorium equally. After the Butler family relinquished the theatre in 1830, various troupes performed there on and off until 1848, when the auditorium was floored over for use as an auction room and the pit demolished to make way for a wine vault. Serving in turn as a corn chandler's, a furniture store, and, at the start of the last war, a salvage depot, the theatre was eventually restored with the help of modern scholars, particularly Richard Southern, and reopened in 1963. And this little piece is signed J.F.